You are listening to Lovely Talks Heavy. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Lovely Talks Heavy. I am your host, Lovely, and I discuss everything I enjoy with regard to heavy music. First off, I want to just apologize for the lack of an episode last week. I was sick. But now that I'm feeling better, I can get you the content that you crave. Especially since Valentine's Day is around the corner and you're probably getting your book playlist in order. If you're using Spotify for that, you might want to get a free trial of Premium so that your good mood isn't ruined by ads. And that's not for my personal recommendation, I just did see an ad on Spotify suggesting that, and thought it was funny, and thought I would mention it here. So for this week's episode, I'm not putting together a Valentine's playlist. Okay, listen. Last year's episode playlist was difficult as it was because metal isn't a genre that prides itself exactly on love songs, and the ones that are there are most likely ballads, and I don't need to suffer through ballads. I don't need that. Not again. So instead, I'm going to do something a bit different and do a track-by-track review. Haven't done one of those in a while, of an album that I really love. Get it? Because it's Valentine's. Listen, that's nothing. That's not even a pun. It's just a fact, a statement, an observation. I'm doing a track-by-track review of Razorblade Romance by him. It's not quite landmark anniversary territory yet. Next year will be the album's 20th anniversary, but to spare myself the pain of sifting through ballads again, I thought it would be fun to look at an album that I really like in so many facets, and because the subject matter is so appropriate. Spoiler alert, I might be pretty redundant in this episode as I'm going to be saying the words love, death, and Black Sabbath a lot, but you're just gonna have to deal with it, because I really like him. It's kind of funny that I decided to do this album because not long ago, before I decided to make this a track-by-track, Metal Hammer put out an article about this particular album and what makes it a standout, quote, goth record, unquote. I don't personally think him are all that goth, save for aesthetically and save for the first album, but part of me really just wants to go with it because when I was a baby child getting into heavy music, him was a big part of that, and I thought I was so gothic and so wedgy. There's somewhat of a comfort in revisiting him, the feeling of listening to Join Me in Death before falling asleep in hopes that I dream about Vila Valu. I'm not proud of myself, but there's still a comfort if you get what I'm saying. So anyways, I've talked about Razorblade Romance a little bit before, mainly visually because I've talked about its album cover in a previous episode. I'll link that in the description. I will say that, though, the aesthetic of the cover on Razorblade Romance was a drastic leap from the aesthetic on Greatest Love Songs Volume 666. In Greatest Love Songs, hymn's debut, the cover was more of a muted, sepia-toned art piece with Villa Vallo looking like a fallen angel in Catholic art or something, whereas Razorblade, you can't hear it, but I did there we go, pops out. It's so pink, and Villa's visage is a bit oversaturated. There's a stark contrast between the pink background and Villa's black outfit and his pale skin to the black outfit. You are going to notice this album, is what I'm trying to say. There's still some similarities that carry over from Greatest Love Songs in that Villa's sexuality is being used to sell this. There's different tones of sexuality, but it's present. And there's still a bit of that Catholic vibe with more decorative details that you really have to pay attention to. So, Razorblade Romance came out on the 24th of January of the year 2000. God, that was so long ago. But the band was still coming into themselves a little bit. Because while this would be the introduction to drummer Gas Lipstick, Keyboardist Emerson Burton wouldn't arrive until the next album, Deep Shadows and Brilliant Highlights. Him worked with Yuska on keyboard for only Razorblade. They also had a bit of a tough time with the creation of this album, from changes in a producer to struggling to mix the damn thing, to getting through days of recording, to trying to retain the rights to their own band name. Oof. As much as Suffering sucks, and quite clearly the band did a lot of that making the album, I think it paid off with the final product. In this track-by-track review, I'm going to be going through the tracks on the original release. I'm not going to deal with the remixes that appear on the remastered release. I'm not going to deal with songs from Greatest Love songs that appear on the US release of Razorblade from when they were known as Her for a while in the US. Oof, howdy. Just the 11 tracks that we started with on Razorblade. I'm going to rate these songs out of 5, and since this is him, it's going to be on a scale of 5 heartograms that are tattooed all over Vila Valu's body. Okay, let's dive right in. We're brought into the album with some faded, faraway vocals, a technique that I really love whenever Vila uses it. It's like hearing a voice recorded on old recording equipment. We're then smacked in the face with a melody, another contrast which is easily noticeable from Greatest Love songs, where there's definitely melody in that, but the focus is the melody in Razorblade. And we get plenty of that in I Love You, a prelude to tragedy. We still get notes of hymn's gothy roots through this album, and it's definitely in the vocals when Vila deepens his voice. One of the things I love in this song, especially, is the contrast of the use of vocals, where in the verses there's Vila's higher, more whiny voice, and the choruses have the deeper goth voice in a layered harmony. The higher-pitched voice is overlaid in the chorus for when Vila practically weeps out, "And more I love you." But my focus is on that deep voice. I love the melody that Gas Lipsticks carries through the song. It's not trying to be complicated. We're here to focus on the melody, and boy howdy does he bring it. And Mige also, I love the bass that he uses. It's simple, it's not too complicated. He's just fingering the bass through the verses. Ooh. And an added fun detail I love is that Linda has softer guitars at first in the choruses, but as we approach the chorus, there is a momentary dome fuzziness, think Black Sabbath, and we're lifted up from that for a moment, and then we briefly return it until we're drowning in that doomy fuzziness in the choruses. It's like you're immersing your head in water for a second and coming up for air, and then going back in. There's a real honest physical sensation with that simple guitar detail. As for lyrical content, it seems to be a cry to someone who's clearly not in love with Vila, and I say Vila because he was writing songs about his harrowed love life before it was cool, a Taylor Swift. I Love You is a very catchy, very great intro to Razorblade. The song is 5 heartograms out of 5. If I Love You was the prelude to tragedy, then Poison Girl is the tragedy. I did it all just for her. I did it all just for her. And love wants a stand. It's me and my Poison Girl. Oof. It's a love that's growing apart that is doomed. Vila writes metaphors of poison settling into his lover's heart and the light leaving her eyes to express that the love between them is dying. And if there's one thing we can guarantee from him, it's talk about love and death. And one of my favorite lines from the song is, "And the taste of the poison on her lips is of a tomb." It very well encapsulates that guarantee of love and death. Mige's heavy melodic bass is there carrying us through the song. We get a wavy guitar solo. There's a hint of an acoustic guitar in the choruses. The music video for this song is nothing to write home about. It's live footage of the band performing the song at a show. The editing, woof. Also, I have so many questions about Mige and his cowboy hat. Mige! What? Anyways, it's a 5 out of 5 heartogram song for me. Oh, it seems there's so many ways that Ville Valo can express about love not ending well. It's a setlist guarantee of a song that fan favorite, one of this fan's favorites, a piece of the soundtrack to the film The 13th Floor. It's Join Me in Death. Now, don't get it twisted, no matter how much Villa says that life isn't worth living and baby won't you join me in death, it's not asking people to kill themselves. Oh boy, if him were around about 20 years prior. Anyway, it's a pop rock song about Romeo and Juliet, or an adaptation of that story anyways, where both Romeo and Juliet are there making the decision to die together instead of by some convoluted miscommunication. I've read exactly one Shakespeare play, maybe. There's the iconic bubbly piano sound that introduces us to the song and will be forever stuck in our heads. It's also there in the chorus amongst the to me sad guitars. We see another use of vocal contrast in the song, where in the chorus we have the whiny vocals asking, "Won't you die tonight for love?" And a deep, affected, subtle harmony saying, "Baby, join me in death." That contrast is flipped in the bridge, where the deep voice of Villa is singing, "This life ain't worth living." And then almost a chant of "Join me" in that higher whine carries us to the final chorus. One of my absolute favorite things about the song is at the very end, where Villa sings, "Baby, join me in death." It's that little, it's like a little release. I have to talk about the music video. Both of them, in fact, because before the whole album was even finished, Join Me in Death was put on the 13th Floor soundtrack, and a music video was recorded for that. And that can be basically summed up with the phrase, Ville Valo standing shirtless in a laser light show to a different mix of the song. That's basically that version. Don't watch it if you have epilepsy. As for the official music video, it's corny as shit. Yes, it's quite artistic, and I'll get into the artistic merits of it in a second. And yes, it was quite pivotal for me in my formative years, but we need to face facts. Every single person on an instrument in this music video is hamming it up to the point that we can easily tell that they're not playing their instruments, except for gas. There's not much we can do to pretend to play the drums. We haven't made that technology yet. And Mige, again, with a cowboy hat. Like, you're in an icy palace. This is hardly the time to be wearing a cowboy hat. And Linda, you're killing me with your dreadlocks. But that's an established constant of my life. The actual art of this music video, despite how corny that it is pretty good. The setting is very much like a Scandinavian ice bar, which I would love to go to one of those one day. It matches the sort of cold feeling of the synth, not the piano, the synth in the song. It might also represent the cold atmosphere that Romeo and Juliet were in their families. Ville is also wearing just as much makeup as the actress representing Juliet in this video, highlighting the androgyny that I love so much coming from him. She also reaches for a bottle of red liquid at the bar, which falls to the ground. I think that's the poison. Anyways, Join Me in Death is a classic. Of course, it's a 5 out of 5 heartograms on this song. Finally, we had some wholesome love on Right Here in My Arms. I actually put the song on my Valentine's playlist last year, another single that is quite repetitious and singularly lyric in the chorus. I mentioned this in last year's episode, but I really liked how I worded it, so I'm going to say it again. One of the most beautiful parts of the song has to be the fluttering guitars that bring you into the song and carry you through the chorus. That's one thing that I always pay attention to anyway while listening to the song, and it flutters like butterflies lifting you up by the heart as you fall in love. Another thing I enjoy in the song is the use of breathy vocals. Not like Jenny Slade's voice kind of breathy, but more like Vila straining to breathe as he reaches the end of each lyric, and more of that strain as the song fades out in Vila singing, crying over that singularly lyric chorus. It makes the song feel that much more passionate to me. The song's a classic. It's another 5 heartograms out of 5. Ah, now we're in pun territory. Gone with the sin. I know what you're doing, Vila. This is another single from the album, but now we're hitting more chill territory. Vila uses his deep voice throughout the whole song. The energy is more understated, but the tempo seems to remain consistent through the song. Oh, my baby, how beautiful you are. And oh, my darling, completely torn apart. You're gone with the sin, my baby, and beautiful you are. So gone with the sin, my darling. This song feels like, to me, a love that is falling apart. The lyrics make it seem like it's about a love with a dying girl or finding beauty in death, but according to Ville Valo, this song is a typical love song, but with the cliches turned on their head. That's the beautiful thing about art, though. It can mean so many things to different people. The guitar solo is a drawn-out, nasally, Sabbathy riff. It sounds quite nasally to me, you know, like if guitars had throat chakras. The music video, and this is the last one I'll talk about on this album, takes a bit of an artistic approach. It was shot in black and white with color added in afterwards, kind of like the technique, well, exactly like the technique that was used on Basket Case by Green Day's music video, but Villa remains in black and white, so it gives a vibe of him being a statue that's come to life and walking through a colorful world. The colors are quite saturated in this video, so it makes it feel fantastical. He picks some red flowers and visits a cemetery and a particular grave marked Jack Daniels, because I think he's trying to be funny a little bit. But it's also marked with the dates 22nd of November of 1976 to 22nd of November of 1981. That date, November 22nd, 1976, by the way, is Ville Valo's birthday. Hey, Vila, what happened to you when you turned 5? What happened? This is a song that's very catchy and chill and cool, but I do tend to prefer more energy, not that warm sort of doom in this song anyway, so it's not my favorite. It's still good, though. It's a 4 heartograms out of 5 on Gone with the Sin. Not quite a title track, but it's quite close. Razorblade Kiss is the name of this one. You really feel the Sabbath in this one. It's so fuzzy doomy guitar, it's got a heavy bass. The drums feel like they hit harder on this song too. You got that riffy guitar solo again, but with more solo and less riff. Another thing I love is a good drum build-up, and there's one of those in the bridge as Villa cries out over and over, "You are the one." I also really love the ooh between verses and underlying the chorus. It adds an atmosphere to the whole thing. Lyrically, it might initially seem like it's about love ending badly, where we heard that one before, but the chorus says, "Your love is a razorblade kiss, sweetest is the taste from your lips." It's more of a love that definitely hurts, and there's struggle, and there's pain, but it's worth that struggle, worth that pain. I also like the line, "Sweetest is the taste from your lips," because it feels so like a contrast from Poison Girl, where the taste of the poison on her lips is that of a tomb, because it's just more wholesome, and you know it's not going to end badly. 5 heartograms on Razorblade Kiss. Bury Me Deep Inside Your Heart is ballady, and that might explain why it's not one of my favorites. I can take it a little more seriously in the context of him, though, because emotions and bleeding hearts is kind of the theme of this band. It's something that you can definitely sing along to and stuff, but I'm still just, on this song. It's about being consumed completely by love. I mean, the song is called Bury Me Deep Inside Your Heart. How much more consumed could one be? It's 3 heartograms on this one. Heaven Tonight. Boy, this song and I go way back. Took me quite a bit of a long time, though, to realize that it's about sex. I mean, Heaven Tonight. It's right there in the name. I mean, it probably isn't about sex, but I dare you to give me a good reason why it isn't. There's so many things to love about this song. It feels like it's about tender lovemaking. You got a weak heartbeat in the verses with the bass and thin drums working together softly. The energy pumps up in the choruses, and you hit climax after the solo. Let's talk about that solo. Not the guitar solo that hits us at the very, very end, but the synth/piano solo in the middle with very singular notes. It's not very complicated at all. You could play this solo on easy, on Tap Tap Revenge. You know what, on expert too, because it's literally just single notes. And Vila's back at it again with the repetitive choruses. You are my heaven tonight. And I'm in love with you kind of underlying that. I can't do that at the same time. I mean, there's editing, but I'm not going to make Tino do more work here. But it's just that over and over again. I really do like the song, but I think it could have a bit more to offer. It's not one that I turn down, though, but it's 3.5 heartograms out of 5 on Heaven Tonight. We're getting more of a rock and roll 80s vibe with Death Is in Love With Us. There's a lyric that's a bit of a brain teaser, which Villa Vallo loves to put in sometimes to make us scratch our heads and confuse us and make us think and search for eons or something. Anyway, the lyric is 41 plus 66.6 equals our loss. What does that mean? This song definitely feels like a doomed love. I know it, and I feel it, just as well as you do, honey. It's not our fault if death is in love with us, so whoa. Oh, whoa. It's not our fault if the Reaper holds our hearts, so whoa. That, oh, whoa, makes it feel more rock and roll. 5 heartograms on Death Is in Love With Us. Resurrection is about a love rekindled. It didn't work out before, but there's new life breathed into it, and there is hope. The heavy guitars dropping in the first verse feel like that heartbeat coming back, and coming in full force in the choruses. The lyrics use imagery of a dead person coming back to life. Resurrection, even. To symbolize this love coming back. The synth travels between your ears, which makes me want to bob my head. There's a bit more vocal contrast in the chorus. Throughout the song, Vila uses his high pitch, and that's still in the front in the chorus, but his deeper voice underlays that in the harmony. It's a good song. That's 4 heartograms out of 5. As Sabbathy nasally riff gently carries us into one last time, the last track on this album. It's a perfect closer for the album with its soft energy and that it fades out and we're carried out of the album easily. There's one final bit of vocal contrast that's quite beautiful on the song. During the verses, Avila's voice is affected, but it sounds like he's on a phone, that old-timey recording equipment. There's a clear barrier put in place here. But in the choruses, that curtain is lifted, we can hear him clearly, it's like he's here in front of you. There's super light use of electric guitar in the song. We get this drawn-out Sabbath riff in the intro, in the choruses, and in the solo, where it travels a lot between the ears. The whole of the song is somber, sad. We get more of the acoustic guitar in the front with sad drops of synth. It's a sad, catchy song, and I like it. I don't love it, I like it. It's 3.5 heartograms out of 5 on Razorblade Romance's closer, One Last Time. Overall, Razorblade Romance is a great album, while still being a stepping stone into Him's final form. Yes, I know Gas Lipstick left a few years before the band decided to call it quits, so it wasn't quite their final form. But he will still be forever a part of my heart, and I'm sure the collective fan base's hearts as well. It makes strides to being different from the first album and switching out the goth overtones for more 80s glam pop and melody. We still get plenty of the aesthetic and also the Sabbath tribute and Mikko Lindström, that's Linda's, guitar. Even if I don't like some of these songs on their own, they're still great listening to when you're listening to the album top to bottom. So, overall, Razorblade Romance is a 4 heartograms out of 5 for me. I hope you enjoyed this track-by-track review. I certainly did. I'm always in such a mood, music-wise, for February. So let me know what you think of this. Hit me up on my social media, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, YouTube, and Mixcloud. I am Lovely Metalhead on all of those platforms. You can also email me your feedback at lthfeedback@protonmail.com. I'll read your feedback aloud on the show if you desire. Extend your support to the show in a few ways, if you please. Simply sharing this show with a friend or a few is one way. Just copy-paste the link into somebody's inbox. You can also extend your support monetarily if you want to take that extra step. Ko-fi.com/lovelymetalhead is where you can donate as much or as little as you can. And the show is edited by my wonderful friend Tino. You can follow his Mixcloud, Tino Fella, and also on Twitter at Tino Fella. If you're having a hard time remembering all of these links, they'll always be in the episode descriptions. If you want to support my show, you should support my editor pal, Tino. Alright, until next week, next Saturday, the next episode of Lovely Talks Heavy on Mixcloud.com. You stay brutal, my friends. Goodbye!